Hello all, 2nd of July 2017, you're here with Dan in Essex, UK, down the allotment. Great Sunday afternoon, the sun's out, there's a nice cooling breeze. Things really are growing away well down here. The sweetcorn looks very healthy indeed. The raspberries are looking good, the dwarf beans, varieties Speedy, are doing well, and the potatoes are looking particularly good as well. So hopefully got some good crops underway. So let's start at the beginning. So the raspberries. Actually been round and had a handful of these, certainly very nice indeed. The fact that these were a free acquisition with the allotment is a great thing. As you guys know, that I'm letting them run a little bit wild this year, and we'll see, because I'm probably going to completely redesign this allotment over the winter months. Just running it sort of casually this year, but even though it's being run casually, still getting some good crops. So I've got a few bits of sweetcorn here. Look, this one's looking good. Got a crop there. These are a self-fertile variety, so you don't need to worry about cross-pollination. Here as well, more raspberries down here. One thing I do love doing is just coming down here and foraging for for fruit. I always make sure I check them out for maggots before I eat them. Over to the gooseberries. Hinnonmaki green, no crop on that one, but it has put out some decent growth, and these fruit on last year's growth, so next year should be expecting a decent crop. Hinnonmaki green again. Now the Hinnonmaki Red actually looking very good. Now these are only very small plants, only been in the ground this growing season, and had them in a pot before that, so not quite there yet. That one's okay. I like them a little bit sharp actually, but I do like gooseberries. Certainly think if people fancy a fruit crop to grow at home, gooseberries can be a good one. Things seem to leave them alone, and they do very well in a UK climate. So, certainly a favourite of mine, gooseberries. I love it when you see a mature bush. 5 years time, probably not even that. You can see the growth that this has put up. This stem here, look, just this season. So give it a few years, should be some decent sized bushes. I think these actually came from one of them bargain places, and one of the good things about these is you can propagate them very easily from cuttings. I've got a video how to take a gooseberry cutting if you're interested, and you can also layer them as well, but that's a subject for another video. You have a couple more. So you can see just off a relatively small plant you can get a nice gooseberry. What have we got here? Here we go. More sweetcorn. Each one, nice crop on them. This one here is, and there, look, that one's got two on. So, as I've stated before in previous videos, might be in the region of 20 or 30 cobs from these plants, hopefully more. So, looking good actually. No disappointment from them so far. Got a few blackcurrants on the way as well. Always makes me think of Ribena when I eat these, but I do like these actually. What have we got here? Here we go. Runner beans. Now, these are doing very well. Look how nice and green and healthy them plants are. I'm starting to get, if I can find you one. Here, look, starting to get small beans. So it won't be long now, another few weeks, and it should be tucking into my own run of beans. I mean, over here, look, These are starting to get a little bit of size on them now, so expecting a decent crop. I mean, you see all these red flowers. If each one of these becomes a bean, we really won't be doing too bad. More coming there. Probably like most people, I like to eat them when they're tender and small. This is variety enorma, so we'll see if they stand up to their name or live up to their name. Here we've got, thank you for telling me about this, a piece of asparagus. So I'm going to leave this bed to develop. A few leeks that I put in, I'll leave them to mature over the winter. And here we have got some potatoes. Varieties Desiree, King Edward, Estima and Marrow Piper. And I'm quite happy actually with how these are doing. They came from the bargain shop. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but they were good. £1 for 8 seed potatoes. You can just about see that. Look, I've kept two of the tags there. The other two obviously disappeared, but you know, probably small potatoes under there now because some of these have actually finished flowering, but going to give them a bit longer. So should be some good spuds coming from there. And here we go. Now this is looking successful so far. We've got long green bush. Oh, it's growing under there, look. Long green bush marrows and coming on. So I'm going to let them get big. Something's been at this one. Bit of rot there, look, with that. You can just about see that. But no big deal. Got some small tomatoes coming from these bush varieties, look here. Another small marrow there. Do like marrows actually. I remember years ago, a gentleman I knew told me how to make, I think it was marrow and apple chutney, and that was particularly nice. So looking at these, you may remember I set these. These are dwarf beans, variety Speedy, and certainly have lived up to their name. Going to pick some of these and take them home for tea. But dwarf beans, all looking good. And you can see how small these plants are, but yet cropping for a small plant, there's quite a lot on there, and you can see there's more little flowers to come. So certainly, if you're limited from space, I mean generally when I grow dwarf beans I prefer the varieties that grow up poles, but these were largely an experiment this year, and to just show some of the people out there with smaller gardens or not much growing space just what you can get off of a smaller plant. And you can see, look at that, look, that plant there and all of that crop, and each plant here, excuse the weeds, you know the story at the moment, but each plant is carrying a decent crop, so I'm very happy actually how they're coming on. And if you haven't got much space, you may consider trying dwarf beans variety Speedy next year. And at the established allotment, kale is looking great, very healthy, and we've got a good amount here of sweetcorn. Look at that. With a runner bean growing up. That one. All looking good there. The potatoes. Nice row of spuds there. You may remember this was the brassica cage. Now, I would imagine the plan is to obviously not have the brassicas here again. You don't want to keep growing brassicas in the same area because you can risk the development of a disease called clubroot, which is not what you want, and it will continue to stunt your brassicas, cabbages, etc., kale, sprouts. You get the idea if you continue to grow them in the same place. So I believe with regards to clubroot, if you grow brassicas in an area, you don't grow them there again for another 3 years. So don't overdo your brassicas in one space. Very important this is. Rhubarb, all under control, all looking good. Do like coming down the allotments. Not doing any work either for myself or anybody else this afternoon. A little bit on the tired side, so it could be nice to just come and have a look at lettuce and things like that. See, these are bush tomatoes. You haven't got to worry about tying them up or pinching out shoots or anything. You can simply let them brawl away or romp away, whatever the term is, and harvest your fruit when they're ready. Nice flowers appearing on that one. I believe this is purple sprouting broccoli. Yes, indeed it is. So this is the thing. Now these were actually set this year, and normally they follow they produce their crop the following year. But I've found that they can actually produce a small crop the same year and then the full crop the following year. So that's something which may interest you. I have actually seen a cabbage white butterfly. Look at that. Like a football, isn't it? Nice bit of cabbage there. So certainly coming on everything down here. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll speak soon.